It has the depth of aromas and flavor I'm looking for. It has the complexity I'm looking for. But is it worth $80? Let's find out. Welcome to another episode of Erik Wait Whiskey Studies, and in this video I'm going to do a review of the Tullamore D.E.W 15-year-old. So in another video I reviewed the 12-year-old, which is about $20 to $25 cheaper than this one. And I like the whiskey, but I just didn't think it had the value to go with it. There are just too many Irish whiskeys, really good whiskeys, that are on par or maybe a little bit better. That way, far better value play. But what about this one? This one, I think on the nose and the depth and the richness, I really like this whiskey. But is it worth 80 bucks? Well, I'm going to answer that question after my notes. The Tullamore D.E.W 15-year-old is triple distilled, triple aged in ex-bourbon cask, ex-Oloroso sherry cask, and ex-rum cask. It's aged for a minimum of 15 years, bottled at 40% alcohol by volume, and sells for about $80 in my neighborhood. Alrighty, so I think it's the rum cask that adds another extra layer to it that the 12-year-old was really lacking. So this has the fig, dates, raisins, those dried black fruit notes that you expect from the sherry cask. It's got the vanilla, more like an apple pear notes, caramels that you get from the bourbon cask. And then on the back end, I get some tropical notes. I get a little bit more of a rum raisin, rum cake, tropical notes, maybe a little bit of coconut, a little bit of slightly overripe bananas. And I think it's that extra layer of aromas that the 12-year-old was really lacking that this one really delivers. In terms of intensity, I would say it's medium to medium plus. So it's just a little bit more, I would say, intense than the 12-year-old. But what about the palate? One more. Like the 12-year-old, this one took a little bit of time, a little bit of patience to open up. I actually had to get it past the shoulders to where it was really showing itself. As usual, I like to pour some in a glass when I first open it up, put a cover on it, let it sit for at least for a few hours, and let it open up. And it shines really well. There's more depth and flavor, there's more layers of flavor, there's more complexity to it. I get the sherry notes up front, the fig, the dates, the raisins, the dried black fruit notes. In the middle, I get more of the caramels, lighter chocolates, vanilla. Then the cinnamon kicks in. Then the rum cask really shows up. The rum cake, raisin rum cake. There's a little bit of that tropical note of that coconut showing up. That little bit of that overripe bananas showing up. This has more chocolate, more mocha, maybe even like a little bit of coffee but coffee that you put a lot of cream into it. So it's not freshly ground coffee. I like the layers of flavor. I like the development. I like the silky mouthfeel. I think that is a key component to these whiskeys, that people who favor this particular style of whiskey, that mouth texture feel, that they're going to gravitate towards these whiskeys. And it definitely has that. I like the creaminess. I like the silkiness. It makes it easier to, well, let's face it, we could kill a bottle if you weren't too careful. It makes it go down so good. I really like this whiskey. Score-wise, if you're tasting it blind, I'm going to give this a solid 86 points. A solid 86 points. The question is then, what about the price? $80, $80. And immediately what comes to your mind is every other whiskey that I've ever had for $80, and what would I rather buy? I would say it's worth the $80 if that textural component is what you really, that's an emphasis in the whiskey that you really want, and you really prefer that textural element. But in terms of the depth of flavor and the oomph, you know, that the strength and the power of flavor that you might look for in a whiskey, that is not in this whiskey. It's a little more delicate, much more subtle, than a lot of other whiskeys that have a lot more power, a lot more strength, a lot more drive to them. So if that's what you're looking for in your whiskey, this definitely is not for you. Are there other whiskeys perhaps similar in style, similar in profile and depth of flavor and complexity for far less? Yeah. I would say right now I think it's Teeling Small Batch. The Teeling Small Batch, because it's also a rum cask whiskey for 25 to 30 bucks. 25 to 30 bucks. We have great deals on those whiskeys in my neighborhood for 25 bucks, but I've seen them online for $30, $32. This blind, I think, head to head with the Teeling Small Batch would be really, really challenged. The Small Batch has 46 ABV. It's got more depth of flavor. It doesn't have maybe the sherry notes that this does as much as this, but it delivers a lot more than this one. So, like the whiskey, I just think the value play isn't there. I would call this closer to a $45 to $50 whiskey. A $45 to $50 whiskey. All right, if you like watching my videos but you've not yet subscribed, I'm going to ask that you please subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when I go live or post a new video. And if you're a part of my Patreon group, I want to thank you very much for supporting this work. All right, until next time, cheers.